Well, today we're going to complete our journey through John chapter 9. Remember, the man was born blind. He'd never had a part of his eyeballs. Jesus created from the dirt, the dust of the earth, he created a part of his eyes. And the man went away, washed, and up until now, remember, he has never seen Jesus. So before reflection, he called Jesus a man, but after a moment of reflection, he called Jesus a prophet. And now we come to the moment where, for the first time, this man who can now see finally sees Jesus. This story is sadly comical. Come on, think about it. A guy was born blind. He has never seen his entire life. And nobody throws him a party. If I were born blind and somebody made me see, I would be wanting a party. But even his parents, when they get called on the carpet, said, he's old enough, let him answer. We're not going to say anything about it. We don't even know how he received his sight. The Pharisees are attacking and accusing him. Can nobody celebrate what God does? Do they always have to debate and argue and be a pain? But hey, who is Jesus? Well, he's not just a man. He's not just a prophet. So now this guy, because of all this tension and arguing and things going back and forth and his parents giving him grief, he has a bit of an attitude. And that didn't take a second or two. This took hours for this to go on. And now he's had a chance to reflect, to think, to experience. So what happens is the people, the religious leaders, call him back. In John 9:24, a second time they summoned the man who had been born blind. And they said, give glory to God by telling the truth. Well, he's never lied yet. They said, we know this man's a sinner. They're talking about Jesus. He's a sinner, huh? But he replied, I love this. Listen to his words. Whether he's a sinner or not, I don't know. One thing I do know, I was blind, but now I see. That's why I've said for years, a person with an experience with Jesus is never at a loss to a person who has an argument. So they're arguing, but he knows he was blind and he sees. So he comes back at them with a very serious reply. He said, I'm not going to use your standard to view Jesus because he healed me. You never healed me, you Pharisees, but he did. And he says, John 9:32, nobody has ever heard of opening the eyes of a man born blind. If this man were not from God, he could do nothing. Well, then that causes them to go off into a frenzy and they throw him out. And as the guy's walking out, Jesus comes up to him. Now remember, we're into this story deep, and he finally sees Jesus for the first time. Jesus walks up to him, and he says, 9:35, Jesus heard that they had thrown him out, and when he found him, he said, do you believe in the Son of Man? He doesn't know this is Jesus. And he says, who is he, sir? The man said, tell me that I may believe in him. And he hears the voice, and it makes the connection, and then he looks at him for the first time. And Jesus says this, listen to these words. You have now seen him. You have now seen. This guy had lived his entire life without seeing. He gets healed. He has contacts around Jesus. But in the moment he sees Jesus, Jesus says, you've now seen him. In fact, he's speaking with you. I can see Jesus with a little sarcastic, sardonic grin on his face. You've now seen him. Oh, it landed hard. What was the guy's reply? The man said, John 9:38, Lord, I believe. And he worshiped him. He worshiped him. In that moment, when you get past the experience you had with Jesus, the reflection about it, when you get to a place that you meet Jesus, he goes from ideas to Lord, and you worship him.